This week's parasha, past parasha Yisroi, is, and following Mishpatim, is definitely appropriate parashas for our gathering. Yisroi starts with Yisroi's idea to Moshe Rabbeinu to appoint shoftim, to appoint judges, or Rabbanim, Dayanim. So it's definitely the first place to look when you're appointing Rabbanim and shoftim, to look in Parshas Yisroi. What was Yisroi's message to the Rabbanim? What did he tell his Dayanim when he appointed them? The pasuk says before Chameshi, he told the Dayanim, first of all, you should judge the people at all times. You should always be available. That's the first thing a Rav has to know, that once he becomes a Rav, or he's becoming, if not an official Rav of a community, he has the title of a Rav, now he becomes a community person, and he has to be available with all aids. There's no such thing as saying, I don't have time now, or certain times you have to, but the main goal has to be whenever you're available, to make yourself available with all aids. And the hard things you judge, the easy things, the hard things you bring to Moshe, and the small things you judge. So what's the point? Obviously, if you don't know, you shouldn't judge, right? Moshe Rabbeinu is telling you there's no such thing. Every Rav has to know that there's going to come times that you won't know. No matter what level, there's a mayor, there's a mayors, there's a alafim. Right? No matter what madrega you are in, whatever position you have, whether it's just becoming a Rav, or you're Rav of a community, or the Gadol Hador, or up to the Gadol Hador, not including. We always know that there's times when you say, I don't know. And there's times that every person has to know what's the davar hakosher to him and what's the davar hakotel. The davar hakotel, by now, right, you know already those Yisrael, you know the basic shaylas, and the Benyoimai, not banat, you know the basic concept, you know the basic shaylas in the pasuk, but you always have to remember the davar kosher, you ask Yerubim, and Yerubim ourselves, Rav Hanan, Rav Astra. Also, we know that we have our davar kosher and our davar kosher. At certain times I have to ask my Rebbeim. My Rebbeim go to the Gadol Hador, to Rav Nisim, to Rav Yashiv, and they're the Moshe Rabbeinu Hador, the biggest place comes, so they'll answer the hardest shaylas. But every person, wherever level he's in, has to know that there are times where it's davar kosher. You know what is his davar kosher and his davar kosher. There's a story. I forget about who it is. I'm not sure what it is. So I'm not going to say names. One of the bigger guys in Europe, when he got Smicha from his Rav, I think it's Mr. Rav or something, I'm not sure. So when he said, I'll give you a Sav Smicha, I'm giving you on one condition. When you become a Rav of your community, the first 3 shaylas you get, you say, I don't know. Even if you do know. They wanted to show him that this Talmud was also a big, tremendous Talmud Chacham, and I'm sure he knew the answers. But you have to know that the first thing is that you have to be able to say, I don't know. If you can't say, I don't know, you're not worthy of the title. So that's my message to you. At this point, it's more later, that to remember, that to know what you know, and obviously you know that you can't answer every shayla, and to know when you don't have it. One Rav told me you have to be able to point inside, even though you don't have to open the sefer, you have to know exactly where the halacha is in order to be able to paskin. And if you can't, so therefore you have to know if it's an easy shayla to shimush, as I always tell them with Talmidim, what I like to call virtual shimush, to whatever extent it's possible, that if you have shaylas, you send them to us, myself, Rav Hanan, and Shabbos Rav Astrov, you can twice each Rav, each limud his Rav. You ask your Rav shaylas when you get, and you ask your man. If you hear shaylas, fine, you hear somebody asking, if you then only ask you directly, you ask what the shayla is, if it's something you learn, and you try to think about it, tell me what the shayla is, and tell me what your answer is. And either will tell you you're right or you're wrong, and that's where you learn. This takes years of shimush, is not years of learning and practice and chazorah, which we'll speak on afterwards. As a message to you, to remember at this point when you get smicha. This time we're finally say a few words.
Tov to everybody. Very happy to see how many people actually received and are getting Smicha, or will get Smicha in a few minutes. I want to leave everybody with a clear message and a duty to perform when they go back to their homes. Let's learn from Moshe Rabbeinu, a very important lesson. When we look back on history and we ask, what was the greatest danger that Am Yisrael faced? So some people will say the greatest danger, we were closest to being wiped out, was by Lavan. Lavan almost killed everybody. Quick, easy fix, he would have done it. Some people say Mitzrayim. Some people say Purim. We can go on and on. Pogroms, the Holocaust. The real time when we were almost wiped out was by Chet Egel. And what happened? Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Jews, said to Hashem, he said, if you wipe out, if you erase them from the Torah, so erase me also. Erase my name from the Torah. And Hashem was appeased. Hashem changed. Something happened. So I want to draw 3 lessons from this. What happened? Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, he drew a line in the sand, and he said, stand back. Moshe Rabbeinu said, I can't do it. I cannot separate myself from Am Yisrael. I love them too much. They're my brothers and my sisters. We're one Am. We are not a bunch of individuals. We are one Am. So he threw down the luchos and he stood over with the people. And he said, Yashar Koyach. What happened when Am Yisrael saw that? That Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to do that, and he believed in them. They said, our leader believes in us. He believes in us. We haven't fallen so far away that we can't be redeemed. How do you feel when somebody believes in you? When growing up, when your father said you can make it, when your Rav said you can make it. How does your family feel, your wife, when she says you can make it? Who encourage you to get to this far? When you tell your children, you tell your neighbor, how do you feel? All of a sudden you get a boost of energy. You have to believe that everybody can make it. That's the second lesson. And the third lesson, what did Hashem see? Hashem saw someone who was willing to give his entire life, his Olam Haba, everything, for the sake of Am Yisrael, for the sake of redemption, the sake of saving and becoming one with our people and staying there. And Hashem said, with leaders like that, Am Yisrael will not fall. So I charge you with 3 things today. You're getting Smicha. Number 1, you have to love every Jew as much as you love yourself, if not more. You have to give everything you got and become one, because if we do not heal as a nation, we will perish one by one. We do not become one, it's all over. We have to start now. That's charge number 1. Number 2, you have to know that every Jew has a potential, unlimited potential. Each one of us can bring the Geula, and every one of us is important. And when you go home, you have to reach out and unlock that potential in every single Jew. Every single one of us. Doesn't matter whether they're wearing a kippah or not. Bring them back. Unlock that potential. Everyone pays a part. If there's one guy missing, that's it. We didn't redeem everybody. Number 3, you have to give it your heart and soul. You have to put everything into it. Because if you don't put everything into it, it's not a relationship. It's missing somewhere. And when you put everything into it, when you give it all you got, that's when the bracha comes. That's when Hashem will say, yes, now Mashiach will come, and that's our job. That's all we have to do. And if we do that, there is no question we can bring the Geula very, very soon. Good luck.
We just want to call on the official Todd to say a few words.
Last year, had tremendous challenges that are beyond any words. The basis for everything that we do as Jews and as people has to come from having emunah and having faith. Without that emunah and having faith, none of us would be here, nor could we go on. Every day we get up in the morning, we said, Hashem tested Abraham. Gentlemen, Banim, guess what? You're only beginning. Every one of us here are like newborn babies. The responsibility that you have taken upon yourself has no measure. When we started a few years ago, 10 years, you start to get older and you start to get white, the years fly real quick. You never imagined to the extent that the influence of the Torah learned L'Shem Shemayim goes. A great Rav, really the founder of Pirkei Shan, Rabbi Birnbaum Tzal, he always taught me, he said, the Pnimius, not the Kitzonius, which means the inside, your internal makeup, and not how you look on the outside. Today, that's totally irrelevant. And our responsibilities go to the far ends of the world, to every Jew and to every person in the world. All mankind is created in Tselem Elokim, in God's image. Any of you and all of us walk outside and in your home, every move and every look that you do, how you dress, how you speak, how you think, you're going to be judged. Of course, we have the judge in heaven, but every person in the world is going to look to you and your responsibilities. Even before you took on the mantle of having the ability to be called rabbi was a lot. But now, your responsibilities are a millionfold. As a lawyer, rabbi, I travel all around the world and I meet very many distinguished people. And all of them who believe in God, at whatever level they choose, all consistently agree the end is coming soon. We have to know that. We can't just say it every day. If we do say it, say Ani Ma'amin, I believe. You have to live it every single day. Mashgiach and Lakewood of Nassim had a packed bag. We have to live that way. We have to know that we have to make every single moment worthwhile, every relationship worthwhile. Many of us have positions that we are literally observed by thousands of people. And we cannot take that lightly. When you take on a look, when you cover your head, when you speak to people, you have to know your influence goes beyond any imagination, any walls, and any borders. Those that have been involved with us, see from the weekly emails, this morning we had the merit to sit with Rabbi Zul Auerbach. We told him about the kotel that started in Iran. What did he say to us? He says, your Torah will defuse the nuclear weapons they threaten us. You hear from the Gadol, a person as big as that, every letter and every word that he speaks has heavy merit and heavy weight. They think before they speak. All of you have to do the same thing. When I was learning by Torah Simcha, Usher Zelig Rubinstein, Shlita, said from Rechatzkel. He said, the doors to Gehenna, the doors to hell, are leaving the base medrash. And you have to think before you speak. Every single word. No, your words are going to be very heavily measured. And your accountability before compared to now is incomparable. As you can see, just from this gathering, you go as far as Geneva to Houston, Texas. Now we know culturally and language that's worlds apart, and everything else in between here. So you've got to take the responsibility. You have worked, you have earned, and you begin now your lives. The problem that we have when we look a little bit older is we think, oh, we're on. No. Every one of you here, you're all newborn babies. And when people come to counseling for me, I tell the women, I say, you know the difference between us and a little boy is that we're just little boys with old bodies on us. And we see when we go to Gedolei Torah, no matter how they look on the outside, how white their beards are, on the inside, they are like young boys with the fire. And that's what all of you have to have. You have to emulate. You have to take the fire of the Torah, and people have to see it deep in your eyes. And there has to be that excitement and that life and that pushing until the last moments, like the Shulchan Aruch says. What did the Kadosh Baruch Hu do now in the world? He took away the subject and the dream of retirement. All of us involved in Torah realize there is no such thing. And it's incomparable when someone is 20 years old or when they're 60 or 70. Then, maybe when you get to this age, you start to get some understanding, some seichel. A little bit. So now all of you that have the time, realize you're only little boys, you're only beginning. You finish this at the Heter, you chazir, you review, or Shabbos, or Nida, or Avelis, or Mikvaot. You have the responsibility to learn the whole Shulchan Aruch. The basis of everything is your amunah, your faith. And to know, Kol b'yidei Shemayim, chutz min yirah Shemayim, that everything comes from heaven except the fear of heaven. And the fear of heaven is what we all have to work on every single moment that we breathe. And never, never let that up. And your fear of heaven will make you understand the responsibility of learning, teaching, learning, reviewing, and never for 1 second say, I'm done. I'm done is when our time comes to leave this earth. I wish all of you bracha, hatzlacha, go back to your homes from around the world and spread the Torah, spread the emet, the truth, to every human being in the world. We have the responsibility. If Klal Yisrael, the nation of the Jews, which the Torah was given to, is going down, then the whole world suffers for it. So we have to be good with everybody. There is no exception. And the love goes to our brothers, every person, everywhere in the world.
I don't feel adequate to talk about the kotel Maravi, about anything, but maybe to give you guys some chizuk. Just one or two very quick stories about Rebbe, just to tell you what kind of a person he is. He's a Flimazam Oibach son, and Rabbi Yashiv's son-in-law. He hasn't got children, so some of us try and feed that role. when it comes to anything that has to do with COVID, with honor, dignity. I'm learning Chavrusa with him, Baruch Hashem, 17 years already, and never once have I heard him when he calls someone to the phone, when he's looking for someone, he never ever says, this is Rav Azriel Oyerbach. He'll either say Oyerbach, and when he'll say Oyerbach and Beit Zagan, and when that didn't work, he'll say Azriel Oyerbach, but he'll never say Rav. So his Zalman and his father, Baruch Hashem, I heard him also call from the yeshiva office somebody once, and he said, Medaber Shleim Zalman Oyerbach. There's a certain element of understanding what they are. When he has a psak to push forward, he'll push it forward. He won't be embarrassed or ashamed of his stature that he's in, but Gaiva and COVID, he doesn't know what they are. He's not interested. I used to often take him to chasanas, and you see important people and dignitaries when they come to the chasanas, so the car parks just outside the door, and they get out with all the hoo-ha, and they walk in, and everybody can see is walking in. So I like to play that game with the Bazriya. And so when I drove in once to one of these chasanas where the door was just as you walk in, he looked, he knew exactly what I was going to do. He said, move! Park further down, get out where it's dark, and then walk into the chasana. Those are gdolim. That's Torah. That's what Torah does to a person. What is it supposed to do to you guys? Very quickly, I want to plan. Avraham Avinu took in people and gave them to eat and gave them to drink, and then they thanked him. And Avraham Avinu said, don't thank me, thank the Rebbeinu Shalom. It wasn't me. So Rabbi Yitzchak Peterburger is one of the three Talmidim of Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. Asked the Kasha. He said, if you don't want me to thank you, then why didn't they say, okay, who brought me to get this hospitality? My Avodah Zarah, my God. If you want me to thank you, you're my beneficiary, I'll thank the Avodah Zarah. They brought me to your gate. Why thank you, Hashem? It's mine. So Rabbi Yitzchak says, because the chesed Avram did wasn't regular. It was a chesed, for example, we all know the famous story that he had 4 sides to his home. And we pictured it like a small desert tent, because that's how when we were in kindergarten, that's how they drew it for us. Baba Meises. It was a mansion, he was wealthy. But he had 4 entrances. Why? Because if he was a gmach, if he was out to do chesed because it's a mitzvah, so then you come to me. I got 1 entrance, you hungry? Find your way. Avraham Avinu did chesed because of you. You wanted something, I'll get it to you. So he made 4 entrances. You come in from there, don't worry, you'll get it. And the Medrash says that when somebody wasn't used to eating wheat bread, only barley, he would make him have wheat bread. You're not used to wine and meat, I'll get you wine and meat. I understand. If the guy's hungry, give him what he's used to. What's your case? He says, no, I'm not out for me just to feed you what you need. I'll make you feel a Ben Adam. I'll make you feel important. So his chesed wasn't for him, it was for him. Avraham Avinu wasn't to fulfill his needs of doing chesed. It was to make the other person important. People had never seen it. People that came to Avraham Avinu's house never saw such a devotion for other people and taking yourself out the picture. So when Avram said, when they thanked him, because they thought that that's Avram's mind to do chesed like that. He said, that's not my mind. It's the Rebbeinu Shalom that taught me how to do chesed. So they can't thank their gods, because their gods didn't teach Avodah Zarah to do chesed like that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. Getting Smicha or getting a certificate that attests to knowledge of Torah, we're often judged, look at you, look all from and you look all fancy. Where's your Ben Odom Nachaveroi? It compounds us to make a Ben Odom Nachaveroi 1,000,000 times stronger. Because we have to show that there's a Torah way to do Ben Odom Nachaveroi. There's a Torah way to live, of how to be nice to people, how to smile to people without getting anything in return. That's what the Torah teaches us. And if you have another stature, you've raised your notches higher, you're seen as people of Torah, then it's expected of you to, everything around, act like that. And show, this is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to live. You should be matzkah with the Torah, to continue growing in Torah, continue growing in chesed, and love to family, from your family. Your wife should be happy with you, and lots and lots and lots of love.
Rabbi Ronen Fuchsboomer.
Hold it up. Why are you hiding?
1, 2, 3.
Wait, 1 second. Nobody moves? Come here.
Rabbi Dr. Mordechai Taylor. Bauman. Gordon Rabb.
Time where there's a great Smicha in the Shemayim, and we're all going back, and we're all going to take something back with us. That thing that we take back with us is the change that we made in ourselves, the brachas that we're taking back. It's very now appropriate to make a Kabbalah, and Hashem, with all the Smicha that He has and the source of the learning, should say Amen to your Kabbalahs. To the kotel.
Also, we're going to present the Smicha.